guys. Oh gosh, my hair looks crap. I've not done anything to my hair since this morning. How are y'all? Tonight I thought we'll wait for some people to get in here if anybody shows up, but I thought we would discuss the similarities between Chris Watts and Scott Peterson and the similarities between Shanann Watts and Laci Peterson. I mean, there's a lot of differences, but there are a lot of similarities between all of them. Let me find it. Now, I might have missed some things, so if y'all can think of anything, you can put it in the chat. Okay, I hit it. I tried to message Kim. I don't know where she's at. Okay, well, I'm just going to get started, and I'm sure people will show up. Hey, there's Leanne. Wonder where everybody else is at. So, Leanne, we're going to talk about the differences, the similarities between Chris Watts and Scott Peterson and the similarities between Shanann and Laci Peterson. I thought that would be something kind of a little bit different to do. Hey, Bonnie. How are you? Yeah, I was trying to wait to see if some more people were going to come in, but they may not. If not, that's okay. We'll still do it. It doesn't matter. Hey, Patty. How are you? Anyways, we'll just get started and do it. They can watch replay. So, let's talk about Scott and hey, Carla. Let's talk about Scott and Chris first, because there's a lot of similarities between those two. The cases are, a little bit different, but kind of similar. And it said both men are called good looking by the media and people. And both couples seem to live this perfect life. Everybody thought they were just like the perfect couple and lived the perfect life. Both men were cheating on their wives. Scott was the last person to see Laci alive before she was, reported as missing. And Chris was the last person to see Shanann alive before she was reported missing. And of course, both men were charged and convicted for killing their wives. Now, Scott and Laci didn't have any children, although Laci was pregnant. She was 8 months pregnant. She could have gave birth at any time, and the baby, would have survived. And I think Shanann was like 15 weeks pregnant. So, and the difference is, Chris and Shanann had 2 girls, but Scott and them, that was their first child. And of course, both of these cases made headlines, and it was a real big deal. And both of the men did news interviews knowing that they had killed their wives. Now, Scott Peterson claims still to this day that he is innocent, that he didn't kill Laci, that Laci went to walk the dog as he was leaving to go fishing. Yeah, and both of them called their mistresses and communicated with the mistresses, when their wives and Chris's family, were gone. Yeah, I have in my notes here, it says, both men were good looking according to some, because I just don't see it. I just don't see it. I mean, maybe if you didn't know what they did, but I mean, I don't think Chris is really good looking. Mm-mm. Especially knowing what he did. Oh, absolutely not. Both of them tried to pretend to be worried about their wives being missing. Chris pretended to be worried about Shanann and the girls. Both of them tried to be really charming, and Scott's friends and Chris Watts's friends, all of them said that, they were really nice, polite, charming, couldn't imagine them doing anything to harm anyone. Scott was more outgoing than Chris was, though. And Scott's mom said that he was happy when he heard the news about Laci being pregnant, but Chris's mom said that she didn't think that he seemed too excited about Shanann being pregnant again. And Laci and Shanann, they weren't that far apart in age. Shanann 34, Laci 26. Their similarities, of course, both of them murdered by their husband. Both of them were expecting a baby, and they both were very outgoing and very headstrong, very driven. And another similarity between Laci and Shanann. Laci had a small house, but it was well decorated, and Shanann had a bigger home, and it was well decorated as well. They paid a lot of attention to the small details when they were decorating their homes. And they both had really pretty smiles. They both had dark hair, and they both loved their husband more than anything in this world. Well, Shanann loved her kids, of course, more than her husband, of course. And they're both narcissistic. Let's go. Y'all can tell me what y'all think. Hi, Gwen. Welcome. Hi, Kim Lowry. How are you? There's Wilson family. Hey. Yeah. Yeah, they were both narcissistic. Yeah. That's why I said keep going, give me some more. Hi, San. Um, okay. I lost my place. Okay, and both Shanann and Laci like to help others. The difference between Shanann and Laci was Laci's in-laws, Scott's parents, really liked Laci, and Shanann and Cindy, her mother-in-law didn't get along too well. Mostly, I figured out why Shanann didn't like Cindy too much when I went back and was listening to the confession, because Cindy would make little jabs at Shanann. Like, for instance, about Shanann's engagement ring. Cindy had made a comment, oh, back in my day, we didn't have to have a ring that expensive. She done little crap like that to Shanann, so that's why she didn't like her. I don't blame her. It would have made me mad too. My mother-in-law, she would never say something like that to me. Actually, she helped pick out my ring. They both wanted their freedom. Oh, thank you, Kim. Thank you. Um, and as Nancy Grace says, they both had houses built on sand, which means, was collapsing because of their relationships was collapsing, and they didn't know it. And they both were reported missing pretty early on, within several hours of them disappearing. And I don't know how Scott killed Laci, but I'm assuming that he must have strangled her. and we know that Shanann was strangled. Hey, Kim B, you need to check your Facebook Messenger because I had to uninstall my calling app. So I've been trying to get a hold of you on there. You think he smothered her, Kim Lowry? That's what I was thinking too. Because, they didn't find any blood or anything like that. Yeah, Bonnie, I've heard that too. So your wild oats is what we say here before you get married. And both men, let's go back to Scott and Chris. Uh, both of them had unusual behavior when interviewed by, the news crew and the police. They both had unusual behavior. They didn't seem, you know, all that concerned about their loved ones being gone. Yeah, both of them wanted a new life. They both got caught in lies. They were both pathological liars. Oh, and the difference between Chris and Scott, Chris did agree to take a polygraph test, and he took it and failed. Scott agreed to it, but then backed out of it right before. And both of them had only been dating their mistress for a short time. And both men were pretty smitten with their new mistress. Oh, really? Well, see, in the interview, she acts like that. She just loved Laci. I'm assuming his mother's dead because the last interview I saw her on was pretty old, and she was wearing oxygen. Yeah, Chris's mother was very jealous of Shanann. I think that's why she'd take little jabs at her, you know, um, and that would have irritated me as well. Oh, yeah. And back to Laci and Shanann. Both Laci and Shanann had mentioned about their hubbies not wanting to touch their like pregnant belly. Seems like I read somewhere that Shanann had maybe told one of her friends something to that effect. Hey, Remy. Yeah, Remy. Yeah, I just wanted to come on here because I usually do a live in the evening, but yeah, I'm gonna have to take a break from it as well for like a day or two. Hey, Day Day. And that is about all I had wrote down for it, which was just what I could think of off the top of my head. I wrote down today. The differences between the mistresses was um, Amber Fry came to police and, she told the truth, and Nicole Kessinger didn't. Thank you, Remy. Yes, Carla, they both loved their lying, cheating pig husbands. So I'm back in this goofy YouTube planet again. Yeah, yeah, YouTube is goofy. Hey, Olivia. Yeah, I went back today as I was recording the confession from my Google Drive today. I was listening to it, and this man has always had something wrong with him since he was a child with his emotion, and I don't think he has or knows how to love anyone. And I'm not sure he ever loved his family completely. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't understand how he could have and killed them all. I just don't. I'm going to, Kim. What time does that come on? Yeah, he doesn't seem to have any empathy. Um, the way I took it, he kind of knows that there's something off with him. The way that he doesn't have like care and things. I'm sure he's missing his family now. Look where he's at. Yeah. I'm sure he'd much rather be home with them now. But why? Is that because he's just in prison, or is that because he really misses them? I think it's a little bit to do with the prison. Hey, Joanna. Yeah, he ended up with nobody in the end. And he says he has Shanann's pictures and the girls' pictures in his cell with him. And I mean, he says he reads to them every night, reads to Bella, I guess, and CC every night a story that he knows. Oh, 10 Eastern. I'll be watching that. I'm not going to be on here too awful long tonight. Yeah, it just seemed like to me he was trying to say that he had a lot of rage and resentment and jealousy towards Shanann, and a lot of the resentment, from what he was saying, seemed to be to do with his parents and Shanann not getting along. But I mean, there's a lot of people like that in the world. I mean, you can't kill your wife and kids. Why would you kill the kids? Even if he had all this rage and resentment towards Shanann, why do you have to kill the kids? I mean, you think he premeditated it, Carla? See, I don't. And I'm going to tell you why I don't think he did. Because it was too sloppy. Or maybe he had planned to come back to the house and get like her purse and stuff later. But you would think if it was premeditated, he would have took those things with him and disposed of them. I noticed that, Dee Dee, the choking, like the way he was holding Dieter. And I thought, is that a coincidence? Because I went back and watched that today, and also went back and watched his interview. And I was trying to pay real close attention to him. I watched the full interview that he did outside his house. And I was just trying to read him in his eyes. I got really close up to the Chromebook so I could see, and his eyes looked really, really large. The only thing that I do know that Chris is telling the truth about is when he said he took Thrive and it made his chest feel like his heart was beating out of his chest, because I took Thrive and it did mean that way. But it sure didn't make me want to murder my family or anything. But that's the only thing that I could say that he was probably telling the truth about, was what the Thrive made his heart do, beat really fast. You think he was just a dumb criminal? Could have been. Oh, really? Did it do you the same way? Yeah, it didn't have a good effect on me either. Yeah, it's a terrible thing to do. Yeah, I'm going to watch it at 10 too, Leanne. Yeah, I'm not going to be on here too long. I think that, oh, yes, I bet when she came to he got an alert when she came to the house, because of that doorbell. I bet he was mad as hell. I bet he was freaking out, because he said, he didn't know what Shanann had planned. Oh, thank you, Shahid. The Kelsey Barrett case is going to be on Dateline tonight, Gloria, at 10 o'clock. I'm going to watch it. I'll watch it. We'll talk about it in the morning. Hey, Pamela, good to see you. Oh, yeah, well, that could be true. That could be true, Carla. Uh, I don't think we're ever going to know um, if he premeditated it or not. Um, I just don't know. I just sometimes it just leaves me speechless and my mind just goes blank about it because I just can't, I just don't got the capacity to comprehend what he did and try to understand it. Yeah, Gloria, I'm going to watch that too. Oh, thank you, Shahid. Yeah. Well, I heard the investigators say a couple things to him about, this doesn't make sense or that. Like, what didn't make sense to me is why would you straddle your wife and get on top of her and talk to her for 15 or 20 minutes? And then, you strangle her. If my hubby wants to talk to me, I would take that as being aggressive. What was probably really happening is he got on top of her and was screaming at her instead of, I don't love you, I don't want to be with you anymore, and started strangling her. It's probably more like it. Me too, Shahid. I watch a lot of the crime news. Well, the only thing that could be, Carla, was like that investigator was saying, if he was on her artery, she would have passed out rather quickly. And I'm sure if he was in a rage, he was strangling her hard. So she probably lost consciousness really quick. Yeah. Yeah, he probably, when he straddled her, he probably put his legs like right here on her. I've been done that way too, um, Pamela. And then he just probably strangled her so hard right there on those arteries. She probably just passed out real quick and he just kept on and she died. He wasn't was he sitting beside of her when he was talking about talking to her for 15 minutes? 4 months pregnant. Yeah, because when I done that research about strangulation, it was talking about the arteries right here. If you squeeze on those hard, you will pass out. You'll go unconscious quick. And then you die if the person doesn't stop. See, I'm a side sleeper too, Leanne. See, I've often wondered if he strangled her from behind. But, they asked him, didn't she fight back? And he was like, no. So either he had her pinned down and she couldn't, or she passed out real quick from it. Oh, is it buffering? It don't say it. It don't say it is here. I don't know. My internet sucks. I gotta get a booster. Is it buffering for anybody else? CC, this is great. Should be on HLN. Oh, thank you. I can't say that name. I'm just gonna say Akon. I'm gonna have to rename people. I can't pronounce their names. I'm gonna rename them, nickname. No, it must have been on your end, Carla. I do that sometimes too. I'll think somebody on YouTube's buffering, it'll be on my end. But sometimes I do buffer. Yeah, he was just so much stronger than her, and he just had his adrenaline rushing, which makes you stronger. And he just couldn't stop, as he said. I do believe that part. I believe once he started, he couldn't stop. I do believe that. But I do believe that he knew in his mind he was going to do that. Oh, thank you. My moderator, Kim, sent me that. She sure did. I gotta get it hung outside when the weather gets a little bit warmer. Um, I uninstalled it. My phone's been acting weird ever since I installed that app. Crap, it takes 5 minutes when you go push it for it to open up. At least, well, not 5 minutes, but it takes about a good 2 minutes for it to even open up, for me to even look at a message or make a phone call. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's like you know that family. You've seen them so much, so many videos of them and things. I think that's what's made it so much worse, you know, is because we got to see, lots and lots of videos of Shanann and the girls and things. Yeah, I got to get me one of them. You're too influential. I'm too influential, really? Yeah, Leanne. We're never going to know the real truth. The only people that know the truth is Chris Watts, Shanann, Bella, and Celeste, and they are no longer here with us. Yeah, I uninstalled it. I think I'm gonna look for me another one besides that one. I'm good, Susie. How are you? Tired. I'm tired. I was like, oh, I'm not going to talk about the Chris Watts, but it's hard not to when you do true crime on your channel. It's hard not to. Somebody told me there was some more audio um, that's supposed to be released. Another recording. I don't know about. I don't know if that's true or not. If so, I'll get it and we'll live stream it when they release it. You're doing good, Susie. Oh, that's good. Yeah, well, I can use like the messenger cam to make phone calls. I don't know, Patty. I mean, the only ones that I knew of was the ones they released on the 7th. Yesterday. Was that yesterday? Yeah. Oh, let me tell you what I was reading. So it said I was reading about Chris Watts's confession, and it said that they asked Chris's parents' lawyer for a comment, and they said that they couldn't comment because they had signed an agreement with Dr. Phil, the Dr. Phil show. So I'm just wondering if they're going to be on Dr. Phil. No, that family will never be the same. I mean, it looks like it's about killed. From the preview I saw of Shanann's her mom, it looks like it has really, really took a toll on her. I mean, you can tell, and you can imagine. They'll never get over this. Okay. All right, yeah. Well, I'm going to end the live stream so we can all go watch, what is it? Dateline about Kelsey Barrett, and we'll talk about it in the morning. So I'll see y'all later. Love y'all. Good conversation. I don't know if the continuation of masculine toxic condition. I don't know if it is or not, to be honest with you. I just think that Chris Watts had problems when he was a kid with his emotions, and I think he was just born that way or programmed that way, and um, that's what happened to him. He just doesn't know. He just doesn't have emotion. He's like void of emotion. So I don't know the proper term for it. But anyways, bye y'all. I love y'all. Let's go watch Dateline.